This is Steve Robbins. Welcome to the Get It Done Guys, quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. Note-taking. I just love note-taking. I get to use a Pentel G-Tech C.28mm pen or a Pilot G207 pen with blue-black ink and carefully take notes in a Moleskine large notebook. It's heaven. Now, kids today, and by kids I mean anyone who owns an electronic device, like to take notes on laptops and smartphones and tablets. The worst ones, and I'm sure you don't fall into this category, don't take notes. They just sit there, vaguely motionless as if they're memorizing. Then they forget 90% of what happened, and they need to be walked through it later. Oh, those wacky kids. What they don't know, however, will hurt them. Taking notes electronically is dramatically worse than taking notes by hand. For years, I thought that I was just being a fuddy-duddy because my brain felt happier with manual note-taking. But no, I'm vindicated at last because recent research into memory and note-taking backs me up 100%. Experimenters divided students into two groups. Half took notes longhand and half took notes on laptops. The students were then tested on the material that they had taken notes for. And the results? Both groups remembered the facts, but when it came to ideas, the students who took longhand notes had learned the material better than the students who typed their notes. What's weird is that students who were typing their notes took much more complete notes than the students who were taking notes by hand. So objectively, the computerized notes had more information, so they should have worked better. Right? Well, the experimenters realized that they had tested immediate learning. Perhaps, they thought, the more complete laptop notes would be better for reviewing later on, after the initial learning was in the past. So they did the experiment again. This time, they had the students review their notes a week later. And astonishingly, the students with the handwritten notes still did significantly better when studying, even though their notes were less complete than the laptop students. They don't know why the handwritten notes work so much better, but I have some guesses. For one, in handwritten notes, you aren't limited to words. You can use arrows or circle important things or draw little unicorns with hearts shimmering all around their delicate hooves. Pictures and symbols activate your brain differently than text, so they engage more of it in learning. And speaking of brain activation, the act of writing something longhand will stimulate much more of the brain than typing. Typing only involves moving a few fingers and only moving them a little. Longhand writing actually requires much more muscular control, making the letter shapes properly, noting where the information is on the page, and so on. And all those subtle factors do get encoded in memory, and they help recall later on. With physical books, the image of the pages, the size of the page, the book cover, and the position of information on the page all seem to be part of how the book gets remembered. With ebooks, current research suggests that learning and retention is less because all those unconscious cues aren't available to be encoded into memory and to keep the memories distinct. I've also heard speculations that because handwriting is slow, it forces the note-taker to prioritize the information on the fly and record only the most important points. If this is true, it means that the note-taker is constantly evaluating and reevaluating the importance of what they're hearing. That kind of reflection is known to greatly enhance learning. Another advantage of paper over laptops is that there are no distractions with paper. Laptops always have games beckoning, or web browsers, or social media, or other notes that you want to review from other classes. And laptops want you to notice them. They ding, they beep, they notify, they pop up, and they remind you. And every single one of those interrupts your train of thought. With paper, you have a page, and your hand, and words, and that's it. You don't have any "you have mail" notifications. No cat pictures, not even a poorly lit puke green picture of the omelet your best friend cooked last night and couldn't wait to share on Facebook. Nope, paper has none of that. Paper has a clean, pristine surface, plus your awesome notes. Everything relates to focus and learning. But if I take notes on paper, I might lose the paper. You might, and that would be awful. I mean, where would civilization be if people had spent centuries expending the Herculean effort to put their notebook in their book bag on a regular basis? That's sarcasm if you haven't figured that out. If you can figure out how to carry your laptop around and a $400 smartphone without losing them, you can figure out how to keep track of a notebook you take to use notes. And by the way, if someone steals the laptop or smartphone, you probably won't get it back. But if you write your name, your email address, and reward $100 if found inside your notebook and you lose it, somebody probably will return it. Knowing all that is comforting, unless you're me. I stay up at night and I worry that I might lose my beautiful Moleskine notebook filled with pages and pages of important notes. So I use my $400 smartphone to create a backup of my paper notes. Every few days, I pull out my notebook and use my smartphone to take a quick snapshot of the new pages of notes that I've added. Those get magically uploaded to the cloud, and they provide a safe backup for my notes. Plus, they make it easy for the NSA to see what I've been learning without having to kidnap me late at night and hold me in a secret court. I found from experience that focus and learning also depend on the kind of paper layout that I'm using. For client notes, I use an unlined notebook that lets me be creative and visual and nonlinear. For to-do lists and notes on highly structured topics, I actually prefer the square-ruled Moleskine notebook. I don't know why, but the square rules help me get into an analysis mode, while the unlined pages help me get into a highly creative mode. Whether I'm using lined or unlined notebook, however, I always save the first few pages for a table of contents, as described in my episode on how to manage your task lists on paper. You can find a link in this episode's transcript. Whether you're taking notes during a meeting or during a lecture, don't bother going to the trouble unless you'll actually get benefits from those notes. Put away the laptop and take your notes longhand. Use a pen and paper that feel good in your hand and enhance your notes with drawings or arrows or stars or little unicorns or whatever works for you. Try both lined and unlined paper to find out which one works best with your brain. And once you've taken longhand notes, use your smartphone to capture them and back them up to the cloud so that you can get them back if you ever lose your paper notebook. This is Steve Robbins. Find links to the note-taking research on today's transcript at getitdone.quickanddirtytips.com. I help high achievers change careers and grow their businesses. If you want to know more, visit steverobbins.com. That's SteverRobbins.com. Work less, do more, and have a great life.